Welcome to the first episode of the JB Open Exchange. Today's guest is professional boxer Richie O'Leary. Richie, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
How's it going, Jay? Nice for having me on. Thanks. Good to be here, bro.
Good to have a chat with you, Richie. We're going to do this with all our podcast episodes. We're going to just go back to the start. Who is Richie O'Leary? Where is he from? And give us a little bit about your upbringing and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm an Irish traveller. I'm from Blanchardstown. I was reared up on a traveller site in Ballycoolan. It's just right outside Cardiff. Just like most childhoods in the traveller community, you know, it's like boxing is kind of instilled in you when you're kind of young. Nothing too crazy or different than anyone else, but other than just you have kind of that boxing background at the start. You know, you're kind of brought up in our community. You're kind of very staunch at a very early age. Like you're kind of a bit of a man before your time type thing. Other than that, had a good old childhood. Had some great memories. Met some good friends. Are still lifelong friends to this day. And that's kind of a bit about myself.
Did you have any older brothers or sisters or anything like that?
I'm the eldest, and my family have 3 little sisters and a little brother. He's 13 now, so I think this is his first or second competitive year of boxing as well. So he's getting on the scene too.
Very good. Did you have any cousins or uncles or anything like that led you to boxing, or was it just your mates? Or
But you have kind of people in around the site like that. We always messing with you, when you're young, putting your hands up, showing you the bases, the 1-2 little pads, and you know what I mean. But that's just, it's not really like making you do it. It's just kind of, it's kind of like a personality trait, kind of more or less. It's kind of how you bond with little young fellas for some reason. I don't know. It's a bit mad, but how I got into boxing, I had a little group of friends within the site, and it would have been their father would have brought them to boxing. And because my mates are going boxing, I wanted to go. So, because I hadn't, like, literally, when they went to boxing, I had no one to kind of dance around with in the site. You get me? So, but their dad be my granduncle. So basically, just because they were going, I was fucking pulling at his ankles, like, to let me go as well. Like, do you know what I mean? And I was I was younger than what it was at the time. I think I was about 6 or 7. I think I had to be about 8 or 9 to get into a club. So we gave a little fake age to get in. So that's how I got down to boxing. Now, it could have been anything. The boys were doing football, if they were doing hurling, if they were whatever they were doing, I was doing. It just so happened it was boxing. So I went in, and then I just kind of clicked with it as soon as I fucking started doing it.
Did did you start competing straight away, or because you were younger, did you have to just train?
Yeah, so I was training for a while, and then so when I was about 7, I think my age was 9. But then when I turned 9, I was 11 on paper for boxing. Do you get me? And so I was getting thrown in at boy ones when I was 9. Like, so we fought. To get into the gym, we had to fucking give a fake bit of birth. Like, so then when I became 9, the coaches and that, they thought I was 11. So that's the start boxing age. So I was fighting in boy ones at 9 years of age, man, getting the head thumped off me at that. I'd done that for about 2 years, I think. So I fought boy 1 at 9 and I fought boy 2 at 10. 11 at boy 3, and then I was 12. I was actually fighting at boy 4, and then that's when I really copped on. When one day we were weighing in for a competition. I don't know what it was, but it was kind of an end of season competition, and we get our cards and we're all in the queue, like, to line up to get our weights and all done. And I looked at my day of birth, and it was I think it was 94 on it. I was, or 95. And I was 96, so I just copped it. I said, that's the way. I'd forgotten how I'd done this, like, a few years ago. As it passed, I hadn't even got a clue. Like, it was wilderness to me. Like, so I just mentioned it to the coach, and then we kind of copped on what it was. So that would have been boy 2, and then the next year then was boy 3, but it was a proper boy 3. It was 13 boy 3, and that was then I started doing well then. So I won everything to win that year, bar the All Ireland final. I got right to the Irish final. I lost that, and I lost the cadets. But that was when I kind of I thought to myself, I'm actually all right at this. I'm handy enough for this. I put the head to it, like. And so for about a whole year afterwards, it was just, my routine was running in the morning, school, home, dinner, straight to the gym at 6 or 7, whatever it was, and then play Xbox, like. And then that was my routine for about 12 months, man. Literally, I didn't set out like that was going to be my routine. That's just the way I went, like, you know. And then before I knew it was 12 months passed, and I had about fucking 7 or 8 titles there, and I was like, what the fuck? I put my head down. I won everything, Dublin's, leagues, Michael Andrews, 9 counties, I think it's called now. The All Irelands. I got onto the high performance team and all that, yeah. So I've done very well for a couple of years there, yeah.
Would you think boxing played a big part in your life in regards, you know, giving you like routine and discipline and things like that?
Definitely, man. So up like when I was like I consider myself like a late like drinker, if you get me, because I didn't start drinking until I was about 18, 19, right? I know that's still young-ish, but where I'm from and the lads, I have all of my mates and all, we're all 14 and 15 out drinking on the weekends and stuff like that. And because me boxing, I was so dedicated to it. Like, I still hung around with the boys Monday to Friday a lot, but like, if I seen them or whatever, but they'd be going off and I wouldn't have any interest in it. Like, I'd be just flat out with me boxing, like, do you know what I mean? And it kind of keeps you, stays you away from that, keeps you out of an awful lot of trouble. Like even like with street fighting and that growing up, I know a lot of young lads get into it, like, but for me, I never really had it. I never really got into much trouble fighting outside of boxing, to be honest. Didn't later in life when I started acting the gobshite for a while, but it did. It kept me on the straight and narrow. You know what I mean? Because I knew where I needed to be every day. I knew what my goals were, and I knew what I needed to do to get them things, and that just took centerfold in my life for a while. Yeah.
And obviously coming from the Irish travelling community background, what have you felt going through life that has instilled in you? Because obviously your growing up would be slightly different to a young kid that's, you know, growing up elsewhere, like in a, you know, there's obviously different types of kids growing up. You've got the kind of council estate kids, and then you've got the private estate kids, and then obviously you just said yourself, you grew up on a site and things like that. So what do you feel? Because I grew up with a number of Irish travellers. They were actually in the estate where I grew up and things like that, and they're always a little bit different mindset wise to us. But I would have learned a lot from them growing up and all, like, and one would have been like hardiness and things like that, and obviously a few little messing things we would have done at times and things like that. But what to this day, like, what would have it instilled in you?
Do you know what it is, right? And it's a bit of a mad one as well. It's like a self-centered pride. It's like, do you know, like if someone kind of, like as you said there with the hardiness, it's like a thing when something's put to you, it's like you can't back down from it. Like even like, do you know, even when me and you were discussing like with fights and whatever, right? Even though the fight might not be the right fight for me, right? In my head, I'm like, I can't say no to this. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't fucking back down from this. So I'm more or less wanting you to kind of put me on. That's where I have to trust. I have my trust in you to let you guide that, because in my head, it's like, if I turn this down, I'm a little bitch. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of little mindset that you're instilled with. And it's a bit mad, because you're more fucking. You're more so your own worst enemy than anything else, because you can put yourself into the wrong. And like that. Throughout life, like with other situations that I kind of got myself into, like I wouldn't, for my own good, I wouldn't back down from it, you know, that kind of way, and probably ended up worse for wear for myself than what it would have been if you had to be the smarter fella and just like, yeah, fuck this, like, you know, that kind of way. But
did you box through your teens right up through the 20s, or was there a break in between, or what?
Yeah, so I think I boxed right up until I was about, I'd say about 18, and then I started fucking messing about then. So it wasn't like I didn't stop it straight away. It was like, so I'd train Monday to Thursday, and then instead of going training on a Friday night, I'd end up fucking off with the boys, or, you know what I mean? And then that would come with a case then when the following, eventually, then you'd be drinking on the Friday and Saturday, and then the following Monday would come, you'd be dying, so you wouldn't be in training the Monday either. So it wouldn't be maybe Wednesday till you're back training, or Thursday, you're back out Friday again. So, and eventually it just came to a stage where you just weren't turning up at all. Then, you know,
when did that start happening?
I'd say maybe 18 coming into 19-ish, and then I'd say by 19, 20, I was completely out of the game. Yeah,
you gave up boxing.
I was gone completely just from it. Yeah.
And your age, well, you went back pro. Obviously, we'll go through your pro journey later on. But there's a gap between that 18 and 19 to when you went pro. Were you working? Did you settle down, family life, or were you on the party for a few years?
Yeah, well,
give us an insight.
I settled down for a few years. I settled down for a couple of years, but settling down as I was with someone, I had 3 beautiful little kids, and I never forget that. Like, you know, but intertwined and all that was just. It was a lot of drinking and all involved. So I moved away from Dublin. I went to a town in the Midlands, and it was a completely different. Like, it was miles from where I was. I knew nobody, knew nothing. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I met people along the way while I was down there and whatever. But that's when all the drinking and the drugging and that kind of really got amplified up, because whatever it is about small town mentality in Ireland, whatever, if you're not working, you're doing nothing else, you're partying within that, you know what I mean? So it's a bit, it was a bit of a crazy few years, man. It was mental. And before you know it, just the years are just flying by, like, do you know what I mean? And eventually just went to a stage where I was just drinking and taking a lot of fucking drugs. Maybe 3-4 nights a week, I'd say. Maybe the only time I wasn't drinking was when I was dying from it, like, so.
And you said you had 3 young kids.
Yeah,
What age did you have your first kids? When
So
did you start having them?
I was 19 when I had my first one, and then the other two followed in the year after, and then I had about a year break, and then another one, and then so my eldest is 8 now, and then 7, and then 6 coming 6. So that'd be more. Yeah, they're still in my life. I've seen them every couple of days, like, so they're
very good.
I don't know, they're still well within me. Still well within my family and that, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course. And obviously, you've moved back to this side of the city, and the whole lot. Things obviously didn't go too well. Obviously, in that partnership or whatever.
It was just more so that in around that town and that environment, you know, it was just a lot of drinking and drugging, and then just a lot of personal shit went on in my life as well at the time. And you know, because I was relying so much on drinking drugs, eventually it just fucking crashed, you know, that kind of way. And I was fucking. My mental health kind of came against me for ages, and I was just still, instead of dealing with the problems and actually fucking sorting myself out, I was kind of just drinking and partying, and then eventually it just kind of crashed. And one fucking morning I thought it was a great idea to try and commit suicide for some reason. And but that would have been a come down. Like I always say, like to myself, even though I was going through shit at the time, if I hadn't been so heavily dependent on drink and drugs, I would have been able to deal with all that shit. It was the fact that I was fucking sniffing and drinking, and then you're having the come downs along with that, and then when you're having the come downs of that, you're thinking all this other shit, and now it's twice as bad, you know, that kind of way.
Were you still in that relationship at the time?
No, I was in a different one, but just there was other shit just going on. There was a lot of shit, but look, I kind of just at the minute I've left all that behind me past, you know, kind of, so I don't want to jump into it too much, but just that I will say, like, when you're going through kind of stuff like that, the worst thing you can do is just try and blank it out with drinking drugs, because it makes everything 100 times worse, you know, that kind of way. So that's what happened with that anyway. And then just after that, then I knew I needed to get out there. I needed to come home. So
that was when you moved back this direction.
I
was
came
it?
back to Dublin. Then after that,
when was that, Richie?
That would have been 22, I'd say. 20.
Was that when you decided to box, or was it?
Yeah, so I came. It would have been. Wait, I went. When did I turn over? 23, wasn't it? Yeah, that would have been 22.
24.
Was it 24 then? It would have been 23 then. I'm not sure the exact dates, but it would have been that. Then I came back, and then I started. I just came back up here. I had no job. Literally came back with a black bag, man. Nothing to my name. Nothing. Just really completely rebuilding all over again. Do you know what I mean? My nanny and that fucking looked after me for a while. Were giving me a place to keep in that, so I could just rebuild. So I kind of went, and then that was it. Then I started training again, because for some reason it was the only kind of sense of identity I had in myself was boxing. You know, even when I wasn't boxing, in my head I was still a boxer. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be like, we'd be in kitchens and all hours in the morning. You'd be rambling, I'm gonna make a comeback, and gonna do this, gonna do that. I never thought I ever would. Like, you know, it was a lot of fucking drunken shite talk. Do you know what I mean? But then when I kind of came around to me, says, you know what, actually, let's fucking do what you say you're going to do, and let's see if you're the man you say you are. Let's do it.
You went back into the amateurs.
So initially, it was a plan, but it wasn't a plan. So I started training back in Pascal's in Celtic Warrior just to get fit in that again. And then obviously I was sparring the likes of fucking with Danny O'Sullivan and Cattle Crowley, and I think Craig was there at the time. I think he was training for a fight as well. But anyway, I was having decent enough spar. Like, I wasn't, like, the boys were still giving it to me, like, but I was holding my own. I was showing a bit of potential type thing. You know what I mean? So I just run in chatting with Pascal, and then I was start training with Peter and Raj, and that was it. Me and Peter took to each other straight away, because he was becoming a new coach at the time. He was only getting his license and stuff, and obviously Pascal's hands were full with the pros already. So I was still an amateur. But I don't like, you know, that kind of way. So me and Peter kind of clicked. And so as the months went on, then I was getting fitter, getting better. And what happened eventually? First, what happened was, before I actually went back into the intermediates, and that Stevie Collins Jr., he was doing like a white collar thing in Westside, and one of my mates was in that class. And just as an extra bit of training, I said I'd jump in with him and do a few sessions and stuff like that. And then they were having a show, and so I said I'd jump on that, and then they got me a fight. But the day before we were supposed to weigh in, and that for some reason they wouldn't let me fight. Because I'd only tried to commit suicide 3 months earlier, they were afraid of having brain damage. They want to do further tests and stuff like that. Obviously, with us, we have to get MRIs and all that done, so that's all covered. But with that, because I was an amateur, all that shit wasn't into it, so they were just taking me at face value that I was all right. But they couldn't take a chance anyway. So anyway, I sat down with fucking Stevie. I was actually gutted, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" So realistically, to be honest, you shouldn't be doing this anyway. Like, no disrespect to the lads, he said, but your talent is like way above the level of like this white collar type thing. Do you know what I mean? So I was telling him what I would actually like to do. And then he said, why don't you go back and have a chat with Pascal on that and see where if you could do it. So I went back, and then it was Raj then and Pascal and that told me to go back and get a couple of amateur fights. So then that's when I decided then, fuck it, that would have been in November of the same year. I decided then to go into the intermediates. And so I trained for them for about 6 weeks, got the weight right down, weighed in for them, won me first, and then lost in a split on the semis, which is very, very close. Probably could have got the nod, but look, I was just happy to be back in the ring. I didn't complain about it too much. And that's when you went to the frame then, boss.
Yeah, I remember. That would have been November 2023, because we had just run our first show.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a text off you. And I didn't know who you were at the time. Obviously, I hadn't met you or anything like that. It was a bit of a shock to me, because you kind of opened up to me a little bit that straight away from the start and told me exactly kind of where you'd been and what had been going on and things like that. And look, again, it's been great to see you turn around your life at this stage. What was the big moment, the big turnaround? Did the penny just drop one day, or because it's gone? Like, you know, you were saying it was going on for a long time and a whole lot, and then all of a sudden you just said you needed, like, obviously that happened, and I don't know if that creeped up on you, and we don't go into too much, but did the penny drop, or what was the big? Because like, to go from what you said, you were living in a town with people you didn't really know. Obviously, you build people up over the course of time. Then you got bogged down and kind of on the session, and that was growing up and the whole lot. And then all of a sudden, it was that happened, and then it was just did you wake up and go, right? When you came around, can you remember coming around? Was there anything in your head, man, saying like, I need to focus on something? Or when you came around from what happened, what was the first thing in your mind, like?
Well, it was obviously I needed to fucking change my lifestyle completely, but then it came down to, like, I was realising, right, well, my life could have been over there. Like, did I really live it the way I wanted to live it? Did I do what I wanted to do? Did I do what I said I was going to do when I was a kid? And I said, no, I didn't. So what was it that I wanted to do with my life? And obviously I always had aspirations to be a professional boxer and make some sort of a career with it. Because even though I wasn't actually actively boxing, I was still known as a boxer. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyone you know about me, who Richie the boxer, this or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And so I was like, well, what is it that I'd like to do with my life? And I just said, yeah, I really would like to have no regrets in the boxing game, because I did have regrets, because I felt I never fulfilled my potential. Like, because I had, like, when I was younger, I even to this day, I thought if I stayed at it when I did. Like, I look at the likes of Gary Cully and that, like, where they're at the minute. Me and him was in the same weights and the same age group in the national titles and all coming in. Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying I was ever going to be like him, but it was an inspiration for me. It was like well, if he'd done it, there's nothing stopping me from getting there. Do you know that kind of way? Yeah. And I was kind of using him as a comparison to myself, like where I could have been, because I remember as I said, we've been the same lines weighing up in the same nationals championships and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And just hats off to what he done. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what I could have been there as well if I kept at it. Do you know that kind of way? So that was basically it. Like, it could have been over there, and realistically, it would have been a life of nothing. Yeah. Whereas now, I'm kind of coming back, and I'd give myself a new purpose, a new focus in life. Obviously, for me little kids and that, you know, I want them to remember me as for something that positive in life. Like, if that had to go through that time, well, who was your dad? Like, he was a fella committed suicide, he was a drinker, and he was a borderline alcoholic sniffhead. Like, do you know what I mean? So who the fuck? He was a nobody, really, if you think of it that way. Do you know what I mean? So, them as well as to give them something to be proud of or something to look up to. Even my little young one now, she's 8 now. She's mad about boxing now. She's after starting boxing, all down to me. She comes to as many fights as she can get there. She was at the last one. Now, I was kind of I do be a bit hesitant about bringing her to certain fights and stuff like that, because obviously you never know what's going to happen in the ring. You know, one punch can change things. But yeah, she's mad into it. Everything about her. I'm going to be like my daddy and all this. And all that makes me proud. Do you know what I mean? And that's even early doors now. I've really done nothing in the sport yet. So I'm excited now for what I can kick on now and see what we can do. Look, I'm not under any illusions, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm really big bollocks or anything like that, but I'm how would you say? I'm looking forward. Anyway, I'll give it a go. Put it that way. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And whatever comes over, comes over. It's not that type of thing.
100%. And lastly, on that, when you came around, and have you done all this on your own, Richie, or did you have someone that was there with you? You said your nanny helped you, obviously,
Yeah.
but obviously, I kind of know briefly what you went through. And when you came around, and can you remember like the first person you spoke to that helped you, guide you, get you back on the thing? Because obviously it was a traumatic experience you went through.
Yeah, well, my old fella that helped me out a good bit as well when I was came out of it. Just when I moved back to Dublin, then well, I had my mates and all that was like obviously they were around me and stuff like that as well, you know. But realistically, when you're like that and you're in that kind of mindset, it's easy to say like to look for help, but realistically, it's yourself that brings you out of that. You know what I mean? I don't mean that in a selfish way. I just mean like you really have to want to do it for yourself. You know, the kind of way to change your mentality and to get back to it. Like you can sit down and you can. It is nice to get shit off your chest and to say it to people and stuff like that. But if it's not really in you, it's not going to change. You know the type of you need to kind of want that, and I think you need to have that. Now for me, look, I'm very very lucky because I had boxing to fall back into. Not a lot of people have a talent to do anything like that, so they're like, even when they come out of that, even though they want to change their mindset, are trying to change their mindset and change their lifestyle, they're kind of like, what do you do? Like, you know what I mean? Whereas with me, it was just like I went straight back to the gym and my focus just changed to that, you know. So I was very, very lucky that I had that to fall back on. A lot of people don't have that. So, but I would say, like, for people, if they are coming like that, just try, even if you've never done something, just try new shit. Like, you never know what you're going to pick up a passion for. And along the way, you will meet people that are right for you in life. Do you know the kind of way? Like, I've met a new woman in my life now. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely adore. I love, man. She's really steadied my whole ship, like, completely changed my whole perception of life and really got my focus for me boxing really entwined, like, do you know what I mean? She was a boxer herself actually when she was younger. She was 6-time Irish champion and everything.
Really?
Killer, man.
Do you want to sign?
Maybe after the twins. But she really knuckled down on my focus and changed, like, just showed me a completely different lifestyle than what you could. Like, now we still go out and we still enjoy our holidays and we still have a few beers when I'm out in camp and stuff like that, but it's nowhere near what I was at, you know what I mean? But because I had people around me that was influencing it as well, that was like, wasn't saying no type thing. So, but look, where my life is at the minute now, I'm just really, really happy, man. Really, really happy. You know what I mean? I got a true living a good lifestyle after a while. Obviously, I have a new relationship. I'm after getting a full-time job that I'm happy with. I'm back up my feet financially, and my boxing is going from strength to strength at the minute. You know, I had a bit of a downer the last couple of months of last year, just with fights falling through and whatnot. But please God, now this year we get a bit more active and kick on.
So I take it the missus came along after what had happened?
Yeah. I was about, so yeah, I was about what we were about 2 years after, yeah. So yeah, I had fucking put all the groundwork in. But
and I heard you say there you've got twins on the way, is it?
Two little twins. We found out yesterday, a little boy and a girl.
So the perfect one.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, man. Look, it's just, you know, when you just when you think about it, like when you think back and then from where you're at now, and it's just, obviously when I came back up to Dublin, I was like, my head was in my hand and I was fucking in a bad way. Like, even though I was coming out of, like, I'd just been over it, but I wasn't fully back to normal. Do you know what I mean? I was like, because I was literally starting all over again. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm here. I'm 26 years of age. I'm back up. I'm sitting back by myself, having a penny to my name. Haven't got a job. I was literally a back bag of clothes. Like, where the fuck do I go from here? Do you know the kind of way? And now, 3 years down the lines, everything has just been flipped on its head completely. Do you know what I mean?
That's remarkable.
Just give it a bit of time, and things do get better. You know. But,
well, it's remarkable to think it would have been January 2023, 3 years ago, and I think it was roughly in around that time when that happened.
Yeah, and then about 6 or 7 months previous. Yeah. So
then you come back and you done the intermediates. And what made you reach out to me to become pro? Like, what made you to think straight away after the intermediates, right, I'm going pro?
So the thing, well, I think it was before the intermediates. Actually, I was thinking about it. The thing is, I didn't really know how it all worked. You know, that kind of way. I thought like you had to win like be like kind of a bit of a name for someone to come out, reach out to you. Do you know
I
what I
think
mean?
that's the way it used to be. Really,
Yeah.
I think back in the day, like, there's a number of pros now in the last 10 years that have turned over.
Yeah,
That 20 years ago wouldn't have been good enough to be a pro.
yeah. I didn't realize the process of it. And then I was on the Instagram and you were putting up a post looking for boxers, and I was like, yeah, I'll have some of that. I didn't really know exactly what it was. Was it proper professional or what was it? And then I reached out and I talked to Craig and that about you as well. And you were saying you're a good man and that. And so same with Pascal and stuff like that. And so that's what I just reached out just to let's see what the story is. And then you came back with all the ticket costs, and I was like, oh, fuck that. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's give it a go. So we'll just see how we get on with it. You know what I mean? And it's been good, man. I really enjoyed it, man, because it's really gave me kind of a focus in life, because I know where I need to be every day type things, you know, kind of way. And I know what I'm getting ready for me, and I have an end goal all the time, and I have something inside, and I have something that down the line that I'm looking at. So my mind is just not getting distracted by other shit. And I think from the way I used to live my life, I think that's exactly what I need. Like even my own one, like she loves it when I'm in camp and all, so she has no problem, no wishes, she's not coming around here, not doing that, and she knows where I am. And
that's what I was going to say. Like, I think the big thing I get out of this story is, and I'm not just saying it's only that, but it does sound to me like boxing has been a massive part of changing your life and saving your life.
Yeah, 100%, man. Of course it has. Yeah,
it sounds like when you came around, it was, I need to box.
Yeah,
boxing's going to bring me life. And to hear, as I said, 3 years ago where you were, and now that in 3 years you've met now, which I'm sure you're hoping is your lifelong partner.
Yeah,
you're gonna have 2 little babies now.
That's what I said.
You're a professional boxer, full-time job, a smile on your face. It sounds to me like everything has really done a 360 turn.
Completely. You couldn't really. I often just think about some of the shit that when I used to, way I was feeling all that time. Do you know what I mean? I just never thought it'd be like this. But yeah, look, it's just mad. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes you have to go through the bad to get to the good. And even though the shit that happened, it was a bad thing, I don't regret any of it, because I think I needed that to get to where I'm at now. And I'm glad I went through it, because it's made me a stronger person, made me more focused, more determined. And it's I think if I didn't have to go through that, I would have been just doing the same one too all over again. It didn't look like anything was changing. So I think I needed that to get to where I am. So even though, like, obviously it was a bad thing, it happened, but.
And how do you manage the mental health now?
I'm all right, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm focused all the time. I'm not worrying about the shit that had my mental health on the ground the way it was. I don't have to worry about that shit anymore, because it's not in my life anymore. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's just I couldn't be any happier than the way life is now. Now, don't get me wrong, not every day is perfect. Do you know what I mean? But my thing is now, look, that I don't let the small things, or that really, literally, everything can be solved. Like 100%. If shit happens, no matter what it is, like, it's not really that big of a thing. Like when you sit down and break it down and actually fucking, you can sort things out properly. Whereas when you're like that, when you're in that kind of zone, and especially with drinking drugs and stuff like that, and then your anxiety's up through your arse the next day and stuff like that, it could be a little small thing, and then your mind blows it out of proportion a million times worse. And it's realistically, it's not even a big thing. You know what I mean? So
no, 100%. If there's someone listening to this, there's going to be people listening to this. If there's someone listening to this now in the same position you were in them few years ago, what message would you give to them? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that struggle and go down the same road you went down. Yeah. If they were watching this now, what would you say to them now?
I would say, whatever environment you're in, you just kind of have to get yourself a bit out of it, change your lifestyle. Obviously, keep doing the same thing, nothing's going to change for you. Do you know what I mean? But you're only one decision away from changing your whole life around, and mate, let that decision be today, and just get your head down and focus on you and bettering yourself for yourself, and then everything else will fall into place for you.
Would you think asking for help is a strength or a weakness? No,
obviously it's a strength to ask for help. You know what I mean? You talk to people, get stuff off your chest. By talking to people, you're meeting people, and then with that, you'll find a focus that'll snap you out of that kind of mindset. You know, it's always good to meet new people, because the majority of the times when you're like that, when you're in the same circle all the time, you know, you continue to destroy yourself in a sense. My thing is about drinking drugs and that, but if you surround yourself with good people, you adopt that same mindset, and if they're doing well in their life, you're going to want to match that and do well for you. And inevitably they're going to help you along the way. Do you know what I mean? It's like, as I said, I went back to the gym, boxing gym. Everyone was there working towards a common goal, so I wanted to be like them. That's where all my mindset is now. Do you know what I mean? We're all working for the same dreams, the same goals in life, and you know what I mean. But if I wasn't around that, I wouldn't have the motivation to do that. Do you know that kind of way? So by being around certain good people, that's what lifts me and spurs me on to do better and be better than myself. So I would say surround yourself with good people, and just well, you're only ever one decision away from making your life better. That's what I always feel anyway.
That's good advice. Outside of boxing, what are you most proud of? Obviously, you've got the kids and you've the three kids and that. But what are you most proud of? Because I could give you a list of things that I'd be proud of you. But yourself, ask yourself that question. What are you proud of? Because you have to be proud of stuff in your life because of where you've come from and what you've done.
That's a hard one. I don't know.
See, what's happening now is you don't you don't want to say it.
The ego
style. Yeah, but genuinely, like I could list off 5 things here that I'd say you should be proud of this, you should be proud of that, you should be proud. But what are you proud of right now? If Richie O'Leary, looking back now, what would you say? I'm proud of myself for.
I'm proud of myself for getting myself back up on my feet. I'm proud that I had it in me to go back to chase my dreams and still in the process of it. But I'm proud of having the courage to do that because even though I was coming back, I had a lot of self-doubt, man. A lot of self-doubt and a lot of anxiety as well. Even now, I still get anxiety and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I have to overcome that. Do you know, it's not an easy thing to do, and especially to go in front of the way my story is now. It's so public because I'm a professional boxer and I'm doing this, and everything is all out in the public eye. It's a lot of pressure to deal with as well. And I feel like I'm handling it all right at the minute, you know.
But it is a. I don't think people understand your story. I don't think a lot of people know your story.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was important, I think, for you to sit down and talk about it, because I can be honest with you, and if I watched a podcast like this and I listened to a podcast like this and I was struggling, I think I'd get strength from you. I think what you're doing today and the story you're giving off today, there is definitely people out there in similar situations. And they could be very similar to you, where they had a great little career as kids going through the amateurs and they fell off the wagon. Because there's dozens and dozens, there's hundreds, I'd say, in the country that have done that. You know, as a kid, I played football or I boxed or whatever. And they went through their teenage years and they could have been brilliant at it.
Yeah.
And then they found the old drink and the drugs and things like that, which a lot of late teens do. And by the time they're 21, 22, they don't think they're good enough. Or they don't think like they can ever go back to it. And because I know of people who have said it to me, oh, if only I had went back to it and I'm too old or I'm this and I'm that. It's never too late.
Yeah, no.
Unless you're 40 or 50, obviously, because you're too old then. But it's never too late to turn it around. And I think your story today, going out there, people will look at you and go, I can do that. You could help an 18-year-old today that just gave up boxing 2-3 years ago. You could help a 21-year-old. You could help a 25, 26-year-old. There's pros in this country that took up boxing at 27, 28. I was one of them. So it's never too late. Like, how old were you when you went back?
26. I think.
Exactly. So you could have people that gave up at 16 and could be 26. And I believe your story will go out there now. And I would like to think that if that could help one person, that's something I'd put on your list of things to be proud of. Now, they might not come up and say it to you, but it could be 5 years down the line. And some lads after winning an Irish title or Celtic title, and he does an interview. And he says, I listened to that Richie O'Leary's podcast. And that's what gave me the motivation to turn around. So on that, I would say you should be proud of that.
Yeah, but
along with what you've done. And I'm sure it will. But even outside of that, from what you've done yourself, I'd be very proud of that. Because to turn your whole life around, it's basically done a 360. And I see you now, and I look at your Instagram stories, and I see when you're going to the concerts and your Oasis concerts, and I see you're on your holidays and things like that. Again, 3.5, 4 years ago, that may not have been possible. So be proud of that as well.
Yeah,
you know.
And on that as well, Oasis, man. The dog's bollocks, man.
2027, it sounds like they're going to be back.
I hope so, man. I have them tattooed and everything out, their lyrics and all here, so that helped me. That's another one there. I get up when I'm down, I can't swim, but my soul won't drown. So that's something I took up from an Oasis song.
Very good.
That'll basically saying no matter what comes of life anymore, like I'm not going to drown from it. Like, you know, I'm going to stand up.
100%.
So,
oh, definitely. We've talked about the past, so let's talk about the future.
Yeah, let's go.
What is next? Obviously, a bit of pressure on me, but what is next, Richie? If you could fast forward now 5 years and you were retiring from boxing or whatever, what would you have liked to have achieved between now and then? What is the end goal for Richie? What is the dream? Like, look from where you came from to now to the end goal.
Yeah.
What do you think is achievable, and what would you like to achieve between now and then? Not just in boxing,
I set me goals to be a Celtic champion and an Irish champion. I'd love that. I'd love to fight in a Three Arena if one day. And to be honest with you, everything after that is a bonus. I don't like if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I said, I'm a realist. I'm not a kind of lad that says I'm going to go on and I'm going to dominate world championships and divisions and all that. You know what I mean? I know a lot of lads have that dream. You know what I mean? It's just if that's what the way it plans out, then that's the way it plans out. But for me, my eyes are on a Celtic title and an Irish title. Even if I didn't get an Irish title, a Celtic title for me, but as I said, from what I've been through, that would be like a world title to me. Do you know what I mean? And I'd probably have that on my mantelpiece. And it'd be kind of I'm kind of fighting for contentness with myself, you know, happiness for myself, and I'm fighting for to be at peace with myself, you know, that kind of way. Because when it's like I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, well, you're not who you thought your brain made you feel you were, or what other people made you feel you were. You know, this, and then I'm looking at my Celtic title and going, yeah, that's who you are. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of more of a reminder for me, like, for every day to be like, do you know what I mean? To be happy and to be settled with myself. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'd like to kick on and we'd like to make millions. We'd like to do all that. So I'm kind of with if it comes, it comes. Whatever comes to me now is a bonus. And so I'm just so happy and content and happiness just to be able to do this and to be able to do it. And I'm happy enough with that. Obviously, whatever comes, it's a bonus. Do you know what I mean? So we'll wing it and we'll see how we get on. We'll wheel and deal it, as you say.
Well, on that front, we'll break it on the podcast here now. You're one step very closely to getting that dream of the Celtic title.
Yeah, please God.
It's nearly approved for April 4th. The other side of the deal, which we won't mention, the other side of the fight just has one job to do. Yeah. He'll do it this month, and it looks like you will fight for the Celtic title on April 4th in the National Stadium. So that'll be step one. Then you can start looking higher and saying, right, okay, I've got that one. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. You'll get that one, you'll say, right, I've got that one now, what's next?
Yeah, so that's it. I'll just go baby steps at a time, one by one, and take it all off, you know, that kind of way. So, yeah, look, I'm very happy with the way things are and the way things are going. So, yeah, thank you very much for playing a big part in that as well. So, fair play.
Look, again, it's a team effort. I've said that from day one, and we'll do everything we can between us to make sure you get out of this sport, one, with all your faculties, and two, achieving some of the dreams and the goals that you have. If we can both do that together, I think we'll be both happy, and you can sail off to the sunset then, and hopefully pass that guidance down to, you just said your little brother's in it. And
yeah, he's been coming up doing a bit of training with us. He's fighting in the Dublins now, so yeah, he's actually pretty slick. So he might be on to you in a few years.
Well, we can get him on a couple of the amateur shows.
Yeah, I was going to say it, but he was kind of he came down with a flu here the other day, so maybe in the stadium card it might be a good little show for him.
100%.
But yeah, no, look. Yeah, look, I'm kind of over the moon with the way life is, so I have no complaints at the minute. You know, kind of way I'm happy. I'm just happy out, and I'm just look. Who would have thought, like, if you don't know this a few years ago, it's mentally crazy.
No, well, look,
it is what it is.
It's all down to your own hard work, and on that note, we'll leave it at that.
That's it, 100%.
Thank you very much, Richie. Much appreciated.